Okay, and we're here. Um, Hi Pac. We had a bit of okay. So had a bit of a problem. My stream crashed, so I had to do like a quick um fixer upper, and we're here. All right. So where do I even start on today? Oh, all right. So I did not stream yesterday. Apologize for that. I did think I was going to have enough time to come back and stream. And in fact, I did. I just got caught up chatting and yeah, I got caught up chatting, guys. There's really no, there's no, there's no excuse. I got caught up chatting. So, um, what happened yesterday? I went to a meeting of the Jamaica um, Animation Nation Network. It's a hard name for me, so just see with me for a little bit. And really, I oh god, I was there yesterday and it was awesome. So I'm gonna tell you guys what happened. Um, so we were talking about MIPCOM, and let me just tell you what MIPCOM is. It is a gathering of animators who, oh, I'm lying to you. It's a gathering of the animation industry. That's what I wanted to say. It's a gathering of the animation industry, not necessarily cartoons and whatnot, but animated shorts, animated movies, animated series, studios, producers, co-producers, animators, illustrators, the whole 9 yards of it. And I'm actually on their website right now. You guys can't see it, but there are two MIP, that's MIP conferences. There is the one, well, there's MIP, of course, the original one, which is designed for more adult industries. I'm guessing stuff like South Park, Akira, more mature animation and content. And then there's MIP Junior, which is targeted more towards kids. And yeah, because so, and I'm really talking about getting eyes on your work, which is basically what yesterday was about. The entire Jan meeting, so to speak, was basically how to get eyes on your work. The first thing is to have work to get your eyes on. And what I mean by that is to have finished work. And I'm going through my template right now. I'm going to explain to you guys what you're seeing on your screen and what this is. So there we go. So I have everything up. And I'm going to leave this up so you guys have something interesting to look at while I'm chatting. So MIP is basically one of the largest gatherings for the TV industry. People are buying, selling. It's basically rub shoulders, wine and dine, business meeting, but with fun. Just you and 13,000 of your closest competitors. So that's basically what that's about. And I'm going to get more into that as I calm down and I'm able to talk more clearly because that's obviously what's happening on my end. So let's start drawing something. Yeah. So when you want to get eyes on your work, first thing is to have your work in a form that people want to look at. So it's important to have, as I was told yesterday, your one sheet, which I didn't know what that was. It's basically a flyer. And I'm actually going to give a shout out to some Jamaican content that I learned about yesterday because I really liked the ideas and I'm really excited for them. The first one is Kyoto Loneliness, and this is by Orchid Box. And Orchid Box is a organization run by Anika Russell, and she's an animator out here in the Caribbean. And Kyoto Loneliness, I have come to understand from a little bit of research and the presentation that was there yesterday. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this off and just start sketching. I'm going to sketch the same character. So, because she's basically who I'm focused on today. So I'm going to take that all the way down to, whoops, wrong layer. Take that all the way down to there, lock it so I don't accidentally draw on it. And then I'm going to draw her. And I'm using because people like to ask what you're using when you draw. I'm using the Kyle's Ultimate Charcoal Pencil brush. It comes with Photoshop. This is a general brush in Photoshop. And so let's get started on talking. What you really need when you want to basically get eyes on your work, as I have learned yesterday, and this is kind of me reviewing notes. So I think I'm gonna draw her kind of like slouching. I think slouching is like the best pose for a character who's like really energetic. Reason being is that have you ever seen someone slouch energetically? You'd think it's an oxymoron, but it's not. Okay, so back to what I was saying. You need a one sheet, a pitch Bible, which should have your synopsis. Pitch Bible is basically more for series. If you're planning on making a short and you're going to MIP COM, I learned yesterday that you should probably have the short finished because people want to see the short. They're looking more to buy it than to help you to produce it. At least that was the understanding I was given. I might be wrong. All right, let's see what else I want to talk about. I was talking about Kyoto Loneliness by Orchid Box. The idea of Kyoto Loneliness is actually the story of the founder of Orchid Box, Anika Russell, and she's talking about her experiences in Japan, being from the Caribbean, and how she misses. I do believe I have the proportions wrong in this. My character is supposed to be 5 heads tall, and I'm already like 1, 2, 3. She's 4 heads tall. The rest of this is her prosthetic. She's also a kid. But so she's talking about her experiences in Japan. an experience of being a Caribbean person in Japan, the things she misses, the things that affected her, and I'm assuming how she dealt with them and how she was feeling there. I'm not quite sure of the plot. I think it's still in development, but you can check out her Instagram at Orchid Box. That's ORKDI, not the actual spelling of orchid, but you know, pun pun pun, Orchid Box. And she has an Instagram, so you can check it out. And it's not your traditional type of animation, meaning that it doesn't look like a cartoon. It's I had a lovely conversation with her yesterday about watercolor. You know, one of those things that caused me not to stream yesterday. So yeah, not watercolor, about traditional artwork. But it's a watercolor animation that is not meant to really look like a cartoon. It's more meant to communicate her experiences and emotions. And I think it might be refreshing for people who don't particularly like cartoony animation. And it's dealing with very complex topics, so it's definitely not a kid. I mean, I'm sure kids can relate to it, feeling out of place or missing, particularly a Caribbean experience, I guess. But I do believe it's more geared towards adults, a more serious style of animating. I'm sorry, I'm drawing and thinking and talking all at the same time. So one of them's falling off, and at this point, it's the talking. So that is about Kyoto loneliness, and I think it's a nice. Oh, hi, Agus, and Pack is back! Yay! All right, and let's see what else. The other content I learned about yesterday was Enter Zion by CM Mills. CM Art and Animation, that is, the founder is Corey Mills. And he's another animator and content creator coming out of the Caribbean. So Enter Zion, and I'm looking at his one sheet right now. Corey calls a one sheet a flyer, and he's pretty spot on that. It's awesome. You guys, you need to see the sheet. So I'm reading directly from the sheet right now, and it says, discover a dimension where cannabis has magical properties, but only the clean-hearted are chosen to become Zion warriors. And the title is Enter Zion, tagline, awaken the warrior within. I had to pronounce warrior like that because warrior is in fact spelled in the patois form. And I know for those of you who are on the Discord, you've heard me talk in patois, you've seen me type in patois quite recently. And so I think this has very much a Caribbean flavor to it. I am sort of mystical. I'm getting a really action-packed fantasy martial arts feel from it. And I'm actually going to type in Enter Zion and see if I can get a picture of it to show you. Otherwise, I will take a picture of it and I will post it in the Discord so that you guys can see it. Let's see. So those are the two pieces of content that I learned about recently. And we sent 8 delegates to MIPCOM and MIPJr, which was the 12th and the 13th of this month in Cannes, France at the JW Marriott. And I say we meaning Jamaica, not we like me. So understand, not we me, but we like the country. So that's a. I think I made her shoulders too. Yeah, she's sort of like that. And let's grab all of that and move it down. So that happened. So Jamaica, we're getting there. Our smallest animation industry, we're getting there. So those are the content IPs. For those of you who listen to me, you hear me talk about Cam Cam from Listen Me Studios a lot as well. And yeah. So I'm trying to get an interesting read on her silhouette. I know what she looks like, but I'm still trying to make it look like her, even while she is sort of like slouching. And she's a kickboxer, so I'm definitely giving her like this very sprawled sort of feel. I'm not going for very ladylike here. I'm going for like in Jamaica we call this frost, but she's kind of just tired. All right, so more about and the reason I'm bringing up MIPCOM and MIPJr is because conferences like this are really where you want your work to be seen, because people go here specifically with the goal of buying content and buying IPs. So that's basically what I wanted to bring up. You should. I mean, MIP is only two of the it markets itself as the largest. I'm not sure if that's true. I'd have to check. But MIP is one of the there we go. One of the conferences that you probably want to get your work into, that and festivals. So let's see. I think maybe I drew her torso too thickly. Yeah, she's not this not this dedicated to size. Well, this is my first drawing of the day, so I'll just consider it a warm-up drawing, and I'll redraw the pose again. Yeah, I've definitely got the silhouette wrong, but that's okay. Like I said, first drawing of the day. So what else do I want to bring up? Okay. So I was told yesterday that money in animation is really in kids content. And by kids, that you're looking at your basically, I have notes on this, so let's go look at the notes. Basically 12 years old and under, 11 years old and under, so content that would appeal to children in that age group. This is kind of difficult for me in terms of, not in terms of producing kids content, but knowing what is considered appropriate for a 14-year-old but not a 12-year-old, or so on and so forth. And the reason for this is because growing up, I disliked a lot of the content that they started making for us down in the early 2000s. And I kind of see that content as kind of being the grandfather of a lot of the content that is out now. In terms of some of it is really, frankly, quite questionable. And I kind of feel like it talks down to kids a bit, if that makes sense. Like, when I was younger, there were many shows that I didn't watch, simply because I just felt that it was kind of stupid. Like, and I'm not naming any names because I don't want anyone to attack me if I happen to name a show that they loved when they were younger. So that's why I haven't named any. I'm not calling any names. I don't want to be attacked. I like not being, there we go. That's better. She's a skinny little Parry. And so that's the only reason I haven't named any names. What else? So I covered MIPCOM to an extent, going back to the things that you'll need. So, and I'm going to write it down so I don't lose track of where I am in this. Your one sheet. So your one sheet is basically a flyer that you're going to give to people at networking conferences and the like to advertise your IP, your content. So it's basically like those flyers you get when a comic book comes out and it's like amazing, wonderful artwork on the front. And then this is where my lack of knowledge of cloth begins to salt me. I'm thinking very hard right now. Just give me a second. Because I know where the tears on her clothes are. I know it seems like I just put these tears there for show, but no, I know where each one is, and so I'm drawing them in. Okay, not there. All right, so your one sheet, you see, like I said, it has amazing artwork on the front. It's geared towards grabbing your audience eyes. And I'm actually going to do a little sketch over here. So this is the front of your one sheet. And it's usually a postcard size. Think of people having to carry this around. Nobody wants a letter-sized piece of paper. It's the reason why handouts in college get lost. We don't want them. So, you have your artwork and it's like, boom, and wow, and it's gonna stop and make people come running. They're gonna, forget clothes and everything. They're just gonna run. And so that's the front of your one sheet. And the back of your one sheet is, first of all, your contact information. So stuff like your social media, email. If you don't have a business number, if you're not a large organization, your email, social media, business number, if you have one. It should also have the synopsis of your, what is this again? The synopsis of your thing. So what's your thing about? And really you're trying to make them go, ooh, hey, what's this about? I feel like I want to spend my money to acquire this. That's what you're trying to that's the result you're trying to produce with your one sheet. And let's see. So all right, so I have all of that. Does she have a belly button? I have concluded no, she does not. Sorry, Parry. You are not worthy of a belly button. I'm sorry. Um, there we go. And her nose is sort of shaped. Her nose is over here, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I have to worry about what her actual facial features are. And that's why I do her in silhouette, so I don't have to worry about all of that when I'm just working out the movement and her personality. Of course, a lot of this is going to change, but that's it. I'll also do pencil tests with this just to see what's working, what's not working, what I can and cannot do. So I'm giving her big ears. I actually like characters with big ears and big eyebrows. And I know it seems like I've gotten off the topic of the one sheet, but I haven't. That's actually all that goes on your one sheet. Your synopsis, contact information, your logo, the copyright symbol, and on the front, your amazing artwork, your tagline, you're trying to grab people. So that's what goes on your one sheet. The next thing that you sort of need, and I'm skipping because I have like 5 pages of notes from yesterday, is oh, your pitch Bible. Whew. Ouch. Okay, so your pitch Bible, this is more of if you're trying to sell an animated series. And it usually has concept art, characters, what your idea is, like a short paragraph of what each episode might contain, how long each episode is. Let's see, what else? If you're doing a magical fantasy, an example of the kind of powers, an example of the kind of plot lines, what kind of stories. Basically, your pitch Bible should be able to sell your content, even if you don't say anything, and someone should be able to get a pretty decent understanding of what your content is from your pitch Bible. Other things that should be in your pitch Bible. Give me a second and I will tell you. Character descriptions. So list each character. What's their personality? Who is what are they there for? So for example, I have Parry here, and I had this discussion with another of the members of our Discord fun, and we were talking about Parry's clothes, and I was telling Fawn, I think I told Pac is here, I think I told Pac as well. We're having a discussion about why she wears certain clothes, why she can't have certain hairstyles, and Parry's original design was very soft, so I should actually open that up and let you guys see it. So I'm gonna open it up. So her original design was very soft, very sweet, and that's because she had a sweeter, softer story. She was a lot less agile. She liked to go exploring, but not to the extent that this character moves around, explores. She's very confident in herself. And so I give her confident poses. I give her, I call them don't care poses. Because you tend to be less concerned about other people's opinion of you when you are more confident in yourself. And so I'm scrolling down, and I'm taking about... Actually, I'm going to take the first concepts of her. I want to show you guys just how far this character has come. Okay, so I'm going to open... Yeah, I'm gonna open these up. And let's not even go there. Let's use this one. So I'm opening these up, and so Photoshop's gonna complain at me. So let's see. I'm just checking to make sure you guys can see this, and I'm having a bit of lag, so I'm attempting to fix that right now. Seems to be good and plenty. So here we go. So this is her original concept, and I mean there were other sketches to this, but this was the first time I really felt like I was getting to know her as a character. So she had shorter hair, glasses. She was very stern, very serious. And she had very loose cultural clothing. I'm not gonna say Oriental because I know this clothing is shared by several different cultures, this sort of style of clothing. And it was originally two girls. This is an even earlier sketch where she looked more. I'm actually gonna call this a little bit more like a sort of French cartoon as opposed to a character. She was a lot more stylized, a lot more simplistic, very sweet, very covered up. And you can't even see that she has on prosthetics because she has on tights. As I did more research, and this is another thing you need to think about with your characters. I'm glad you like the redesign pack. Yeah. Is what you know about the person you are drawing affects how you design the character. And so there were a lot of things I didn't know about people who have had amputations, who were amputees. And one thing I didn't know is that tights are kind of impossible for them, in the sense that it's a very difficult piece of clothing to put on. And so there's a lot of my own preferences and assumptions here, but as I did more research, I came to find out a little bit more. Here, at this stage, I didn't even have the prosthetic ideal. At this stage, she was just a headstrong girl, and you can't really see it here. If I zoom in really, really close, scroll all the way down, you can barely see two figures here. Come on. And they were actually at the entrance to a park. So that's Tree Park. There's another character here who I hadn't fully fleshed out. And this was Parry. And she had a counterpart who, Enya, who I haven't redesigned yet. Enya is a whole other story. Because at one point I scrapped Enya. Whoops. So this is, yeah, there we go. These are what I wanted. This is Parry and Enya. And you guys will notice that I fell in love with Enya's design so much, she actually became the logo for my art brand. And I named the art brand Monarise and gave Enya a new name, and she became Monarise. And so she took on a whole different life of her own as opposed to Parry. And I loved this design so, so much. And at this point, the story changed a lot. It was no longer two little girls. It was more magical, more mystical, had a more magical girl feel to it. And they were kids, a lot sweeter, a lot... Fawn goes, wait, I remember. Yup, yeah. And like I said, these are, I told you, and I said I took you back to the earliest design, but I took you back to the earliest design of after I changed the name. This concept is actually a lot older. Before it was baby steps, it was a concept I had called mindless, and that had a much more horrific feel to it. Because I was dealing with the concept of child soldiers at that point. But like I said, it became a lot softer over the years. And then we got to here. So as you can see here, you can start seeing where Parry really starts to get this softer feeling. So she has fluffier hair, very culturally inspired clothes, and this skirt is very short for the Caribbean. Caribbean skirts tend to be below the knee or ankle length in terms of uniforms. And this was supposed to be a coat over her actual uniform with this sort of head encompassing mask. And I still want to make a cosplay of this because I really love these clothes. And then as I came to understand more about people who've had double amputations and how their lives actually work and the sort of clothes they tend to wear, and I recently figured out why I see a lot of amputees wearing shorts. And I'll tell you more about that in a bit. Actually, let me write it down so I don't forget to tell you. But so I gave her shorts. I did some research on different prosthetic legs, blade runners. These are prosthetics. She doesn't have legs, and I have a more realistic looking prosthetic, and then I have a less realistic looking prosthetic. And there is the understanding that cosmesis, which is what makes a prosthetic leg look more real, it makes a leg more expensive. And I was sort of exploring the different types of legs you could have. And at this point, Enya is no longer in the story. This is a story completely about Parry. And it was more of a story of how she was adjusting to losing her legs. Her original story had her as a athlete, and then having lost her legs in a car accident. And I had a full 24-page storyboard of this fleshed out about how she felt having lost her legs those first few days, and even when she gets her first pair of prosthetic legs, which is kind of like a toy store or doll shop thing. And for the redesign, so let's go all the way back here. So I created these templates, and I'm gonna shut them off now. Go all the way back to this sheet. Whew, this sheet. Turn yourself back on, and why did you do that? What did I turn off? There we go. So I started with the character silhouette sheet because the first thing I felt about this design was that she looks very sweet and very cute and all of that, but I felt that her shapes could be stronger. I thought she could be a little bit more dynamic, and I really thought I could push the boundaries of her shape more. And so I decided to redesign her, and honestly, it was just going to be a redesign of this, but remember when I said that your perceptions and what you know about the kind of person you're designing affects how you design? When I designed this concept, I had a very rudimentary understanding of how prosthetics work, what the lifestyle of double amputees and amputees in general was like. And honestly, I had really only seen them in rehabilitation and in the context of having a disability. And as I spoke to people on the internet who had actual, I'm sorry, I need to take that back because many amputees don't consider themselves having a disability, and they also don't consider themselves as being differently abled. They just consider themselves as people, and so to respect that, I'm going to say, um, for different people, for people who don't have legs for one reason or the other, I had a very rudimentary understanding of what their life was like. And so the having this idea of a skirt and shorts, I did that sort of unknowingly because I'd always seen double amputees who were wearing shorts, and I found out quite recently, as recently as Thursday, that the reason for this is that it makes it easier to remove your prosthetic if you need to. If you are wearing long pants, it's actually very, very difficult to remove your prosthetic because it can get caught in the shorts, and there are actually clothing companies that make modified clothing for basically to make it easier for you to put on clothes and to essentially have designs that are easier for to live with when you have prosthetics. And let's see, what else do I want to say here? And so I went back to hair and I started designing. Now, a few years back, I watched a course about designing with silhouettes, and basically I have been seeing, I'm in several concept art groups. I rarely ever post anything in them because, one, I'm a little bit intimidated by the people in the group. You should see some of this artwork. And another is I haven't been working as much as I want to be. Recently, that's gotten better now that I am home and my friends say I am happier, so I'll take it from them. So I started designing based on the cylinder shape, and this concept of Pari is actually based on a trapezium. Her hair is a trapezium, her face is a trapezium, and her waist is about right here. That's where her legs are. So if you actually saw what her body looked like, you would notice that it's hyper stylized. Her waist is actually super high. I just put the pants there to make it seem that it makes more sense. And this is actually, I drew two types of amputations here just to show you how much I did not know back when I made this design. This is a prosthetic for above the leg amputation, above the knee amputation. This is not. That should let you know how she grew more legs, grew more leg hair, and don't have any hair. So that should just take that into consideration. That's how much I did not know when I made this design. I replaced Enya with a little frog, and this frog was going to be her froggy companion. And the idea of this version of Baby Steps was that she was learning how to use her legs, her new legs, building a collection of prosthetics for different things. Because you have prosthetics for wearing high heels, prosthetics for running, prosthetics for just everyday life. Walking upstairs is difficult. Walking up and down stairs. I also learned that sometimes places that appear to be accessible to people in wheelchairs are actually not accessible because of where they positioned the buttons and so on and so forth. And so I thought of all sorts of different things for why she might, what she might need. I didn't immediately jump to prosthetic legs. I explored wheelchairs as well. And so coming back, so we went from like rough sketches back to silhouettes, back to finished design, back to silhouettes. And I like to think I'm a better artist now, I hope. And so here I am with this. I made these templates the other day, and they're basically just to design stuff for myself so that I actually keep track of what I'm doing. And so I started, this is the first one I drew, and these numbers are lies. Some of these I drew. Okay, these numbers are not lies. These numbers are lies. I drew this, and then I drew that, and I drew that, and I don't remember the order of the rest of them. But the idea was, as I learned more about double amputees, you have many who are a lot more active than I thought they were. In terms of, I actually worked up the I worked up the courage to do that yesterday. I got about 2 likes. I'm very happy with myself. I'm joking. But I am proud. I shared it, which was the accomplishment that I wanted to make in that moment. And so that's that. But these silhouettes, the designs affected each other because you'll notice some of them don't have hands. That's because hands became a part of the silhouette after I decided to make her a kickboxer. And I was really thinking about things that you did not expect double amputees to do. And I was really surprised when I learned there were amputee kickboxers, because I was just like, won't the prosthetic fly off? But science has learned how to deal with that, so that's a whole moot point. And so I decided I still had her hair in mind, her original hair in mind when I was designing these. Oh yeah, see, you can tell now, this trapezium hair. And so gave her a baseball cap, still had her, and I'm actually gonna close these out so that I can get to this one. Yeah, so I still had her original outfit in mind when I made the original design. So it was, that tank top, skirt, and I had a hell of a time working out proportions because, first of all, child proportions. Children are hard to draw. And second of all, this was the original silhouette. That is this, from what I could recall of it. It was really, I wanted to see what I was actually coming from when I drew this silhouette. So this one wasn't even an option to begin with. This was just me wanting to see where I was coming from, and to make sure that any silhouette I had after this one was better than the original. And so I drew this one for reference. And she still has her skirt. I added a bag because the idea was to have her exploring and carrying around stuff. Then I made her a kickboxer, and I started to think, okay, I need to have a shape. Like, there's a shape. What shape am I basing this off of? Or am I just gonna slam shapes together until something works? Which is a way to start. You can just start slamming shapes together until something works. And so I decided to base it on a cylinder. And some of these hairstyles are hairstyles that have been inflicted upon me. And I say inflicted in the sense that I made my mom sign a contract never to give me this hairstyle ever again when I got to high school. Um, in the Caribbean, because we have curly hair, they'll plait our hair. And so when I was younger, my mom used to give me it was like three plaits, two on the side of my head, one in the middle, and like two at the back. And I kind of felt like I was, and in hindsight, must have been like, I just kind of felt like I had horns sticking out of my head. And it was just like, ah. Oh, if you can't tell, Fun sharing his bowl cut flashbacks. Yeah, if you can't tell, I kind of really didn't want that anymore. So these two are kind of a homage to, because she's Caribbean, she's definitely a Jamaican character. That's the first thing I wanted to do. Is I really would like to share my culture through my work, even if my concerns might not be as Caribbean as I would like them to be. Or maybe they are. I don't know. But yeah, so these two had a hairstyle. This hairstyle is actually a tribute to Mona's hairstyle, this kind of half fluffy thing that she has. This is kind of trying to merge her and Enyo together. And this is where I really started getting the idea of what a cylinder silhouette could actually be. Because here she's sort of like a straight cylinder. But then I was like, okay, I can shrink that cylinder. Just because she's a cylinder doesn't mean that everything has to be straight and formless, because that's not fun to look at. So I started thinking, okay, let's shrink that cylinder, let's pull it apart and see what we can get here. And this one was her walking around on her stumps. Many of these silhouettes don't have fully developed legs, and I have a lot of people say to me, before I tell them that the character is a double amputee, that I need to finish my silhouette, meaning that I need to draw out the legs fully so I can get a real understanding of the proportion of the character. And that's kind of what throws me off with this, is that she will have all the proportions of a regular child. However, that fifth head right there is a prosthetic. That her legs right here, because she is a double below the knee amputee, and below the knee and above the knee makes all the difference in terms of what kind of prosthetics you can get, and so on and so forth. And so I decided to design her. I have this idea of her walking around on her stumps. And we always think, oh, amputees get prosthetics or they're in wheelchair, but many of them actually enjoy walking around on their stumps. They have or residual limb. It depends on what they want to call them. I know most of the people I know prefer to call them stumps. I'm working on correcting my terminology, so if you see me go back and correct myself, it's because I'm trying to be respectful of what I've been told. And if you catch me, just like say in the comments, Mona, you slipped again. But yeah, and so many of them do actually like to walk around on their stumps. They like to dress their stumps up. Make no mistake. And that's what this actually is. These are socks. There's like little socks that have hard bottoms to protect the end of your stump so it doesn't get softened or stuff like that. This is lace. And as I was drawing the lace, I was actually thinking maybe not lace because it would be itchy, but you know, I had Parry as a very girly but assertive sort of girl, in the sense that, you know, she's not afraid. If someone said something to her, she's not afraid to get into a fight. Which is kind of like, hey, that's where I started getting the idea of what does a girl who is likely to sock you look like. Hey Moira. Yeah, like what does a girl who is likely to punch you out look like? How can I tell you that if you like how can I tell the audience visually that if you mess with her, she is likely to just knock you through the door? And so I took some inspiration from Helga Pataki because when it comes to girls who can knock you out, I always think of Helga G. Pataki from Hey Arnold. And so that's where I got this hairstyle. I actually turned the cylinder sideways, so this was like a combination of Helga and Arnold. And then there was there. And one thing I always loved about Helga was that she had her bow and she always wore pink. But Parry is kind of not the pink sort of person as a character. And so I gave her a flower crown. So that's what this is. This is her flower crown or her scrunchies, pigtails, and it's just like, okay, what are the sort of hairstyles that we give to little girls? And I was just like, oh, I have a story about this silhouette. So I gave her that sort of tutu skirt, hair. I gave her bags on the side. And this is just for the tools that she would use if she, because you do have different considerations. I just think of amputees as being sort of, I mean, yeah, they have different challenge. I messed up again. I think of considering it more of like being short in a tall person's world. Like, you know, you have some things. So I was thinking, okay, maybe a ladder, or maybe she has a grabber that she grabs things with. Because she still lives with her parents. There we go. I swear, Fawn is in love with his new keyboard, and I'm so jealous. I want to get one just like that. Yeah. So I gave her bags in different places, and then I was just like, okay, she has a bag here, that's a bag as well, and I'm zooming in so you can just get the idea of what these are. I had her as kind of like a skinny girl with big fists, because that's the point that, you know, she'd punch you out, and then I was like, okay, so she's scrappy, she's a fighter. The previous Parry was an athlete. She was a runner, and running is a very Caribbean thing. We are, I have to say Caribbean because sports on a whole in Jamaica is a whole other religion. I mean, the devotion to track and field in our country is frankly kind of cultish in the best possible way. I when I came back, I said I recently. Fawn says it isn't even a new one. It just never knew it was there. Really? What kind of keyboard do you have? Yeah, so I was thinking about sports, and I'm like, okay, maybe I could bring her back to running, and I was just like, okay, so, but yeah, running and everything, but everybody knows you can run. But I wanted her to do something that you honestly wouldn't know that, you know, like someone found a way. I learned recently that Jamaicans found a way to have an ice hockey team, and I was just like, wait, what? So I wanted someone to have that experience when learning about my character. And I thought about making her a deep sea diver, because this wasn't even when I was developing it. A few years back, I read an article about a pearl diver who she modified her wheelchair to go swimming, and I was like, "You go, girl." Um, and I was kind of jealous too because I want to go swimming in a wheelchair. It would just take away all the energy I would have to use to do the actual swimming part. And sometimes I get jealous of some of the things that I learned because I'm just like, I want to do that too. That looks like fun. Another thing I learned is that we sort of look at amputation as decreasing the quality of someone's life, which is something I didn't realize I was doing until it was pointed out to me. And I learned that a lot of it's actually improved the quality of a lot of people's lives. Many people who have willingly undergone amputation used to wake up in pain every day, and amputation has actually removed that from their life. So it increased the quality of their life for a lot of people, which is something I really didn't know. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I'm gonna look to see if I have that on my phone later today. Um, yeah, so then I started thinking about, hey, maybe this improved the quality of her life. Maybe it wasn't something horrible that happened to her, which is kind of the assumption I made even when I was creating the story of um how why she's a double leg amputee, because it my original story was, hey, she had an accident, but it might have been, hey, maybe she had an accident and she was in pain for a few years and she chose. So having stories that we don't typically hear is also something that I wanted to do. And so I started designing more, little bit fashion conscious, and started thinking about diversity as a whole. And so I gave her a heavier set silhouette and gave her fashionable. The reason I did not select the silhouette is actually because of the hair. Um, I didn't want to deal with that much hair. I'm sorry. Hair has a lot of secondary movement. Let's see, or hair in particular, it defies gravity. I swear my natural hair, I could sculpt it. Um, so I didn't want to deal with that sort of physics, and so I wanted that. And then as I began to think more about her being a kickboxer, I also realized that this sort of hair was impractical. It's easy to grab in a fight. I'm sorry, I thought about her as being a fighter. I hadn't yet reached kickboxer yet, and so this hair, that hair, easy to grab in a fight. And so I started developing characters that had hair that was on the top of their head, hair that wasn't easy to grab, and this one sort of gave me like a more teenager feel. Like she still had that trapezium thing, but I liked the clothes. This is where I first got the idea of the crop top and this sort of, you know, baggy pants. And then I was like, no, she's girly and fashionable. Um, okay, I'm reading the comments. That's why I stopped talking. So, interesting fact. Fawn, what's the name of the keyboard app that you use? Okay. All right. And so, going in with that, I also learned a lot of people develop stronger wrists because they're moving around with their stumps. They develop stronger upper body strength as they're moving around. They have better balance than a lot of us. That's something you should know. If you trip over your leg, understand your own 2 feet. Understand that they might not, simply because they develop better balance. And it's kind of ironic because I was reading an article and it was like, oh, someone who has balance issues. And I'm like, not all of them have balance issues. For example, um, if they participate in sports, they tend to develop better balance than a lot of us. Um, I thought about making her want to be a chef because one thing that I was reading as I was doing some research is that many people find it annoying when the stories focus primarily on the fact that they don't have legs. And so I was thinking about that, but I really wanted to do, I kind of fallen in love with the kickboxing idea. And I didn't think that that would have as much wow factor because I'm still thinking about having to sell this. And so I developed this very aggressive, punkish sort of one. I gave her a ripped up skirt as if she'd been in a lot of fights and people had grabbed her clothes. I gave her this sort of atomic skull logo, a kind of makeshift bandage. Then I gave her like this spiked choker and a spiked bracelet, and even had like a spike through her hair. And this was kind of just to add some sort of edge to the original design. And then I started to think about personality. And that's where these three silhouettes came in. Like, because this one had personality. This one has personality. That one sort of looks like she's telling you directions, but she does have a sort of personality to her. And I felt like this one really made her look like she could knock you out, even though she's skinny. But then I tried this. This was actually inspired by another Jamaican artist called Danielle Parchment. She does a lot of great art. If you want to see her work, she is Nils Studio on Instagram, and she's awesome, guys. Honestly, she studied in South Korea, and she has great color, great lighting. There's some aspects of her work I'm not too fond of, and it's not that there's anything wrong with her work. It's just my own personal preference. But that's kind of how it works. As an artist, you have your own personal preference. I gave her little knobby elbows, long hands, and this pose is inspired by Nil Studios. Okay, so let me tell you how this one works. I made the pose, looked at it, and I went, "Oh shoot, that's Daniel." And I couldn't figure out why, so I went on her Instagram and I did what I like to call my deep stalking, which is where I find the artist I like portfolio and I just go down their page. You know, like those things that they tell you you're not supposed to do on social media. I go down their page and I like everything. I'm that person because I want you to know I like your artwork. I'm not gonna stalk you in the yeah. So I went down her page and I discovered that the character that inspired this pose wasn't even the main character in the artwork. It was a character in the background of the artwork. And this was originally a piece where apparently it was two chefs arguing, and one chef had his back turned and he was looking very put out, and this was the other chef in the background sticking her tongue and flipping him the bird. And so apparently that stuck in my brain and materialized here in the artwork when I was thinking about giving her long hair and plaiting it. And she was actually sitting in a wheelchair for this one. I didn't draw the wheelchair because then I wouldn't be able to see the silhouette of the character themselves. So that's why after this one, I made a realization of that hair. And then from then on, whenever I drew characters supposedly sitting in chairs, I did not draw the chair so I could get a really good understanding of what the character silhouette is actually looking like. So this pose is that. And the reason why I told you guys that story the same discussion that I had with a lot of other artists yesterday at the Jan meeting is everything you see will become incorporated into your art. And this is a really good point for exposure, but it's another point. Most of it's for plagiarism. When I shared this set of silhouettes in the Jan Facebook group, I actually tagged Daniel because one, when you are inspired by another artist, especially when it is highly visible in your work, it's always good to tag them to give credit to that artist. Otherwise, it looks like you're plagiarizing their work. Second, I've actually spoken to Danielle. I wouldn't say we're the best of friends, but I've met her. She's a pretty chill person and I really love her work. Um, it's just to let her know that I really do like her work. Um, if you're an artist and you're there and you're inspired by somebody else, especially someone we're about the same age, I actually think she's younger than me. Um, there's this weird pride among artists where if the person is in the same age group as you, you're kind of like afraid to say, "Oh, I love your work." Um, you should say it, especially if the person is younger than you. They're in the same place as you. Every artist has that feeling that they're not good enough, and I think it's really validating for an artist to hear someone say, particularly another artist, that their work is really great and that it's inspirational. Even more so if you're in the same age group, because it means you have the respect of your peers and it helps build confidence as a whole, which is a good thing to have in the industry in general. Like this idea that we're not competing against each other, because art is a very collaborative, animation in particular is a very collaborative industry. So I drew this one, and then I drew this one, which was kind of like her ordering somebody to do something. And I really love the idea of her still making gestures with her feet, which is something that I know a lot of people do in terms of they do have a whole different set of body gestures with their stumps or residual limbs that a lot of other people don't. Like, so I decided to see what that might look like because I really did want her walking around on her stump and just to have fun and not feel limited by it, because the whole idea is that she's not limited by not having the bottom half of her feet. And so I threw her hair back, gave her this skirt, and she's kind of floating here because if she was sitting in a chair, the skirt wouldn't do this. And so I did that. A more angry emotion was hair. Didn't like this hair, so I didn't pick it. Eventually, I went with Silhouette 10, which you guys can tell. And these are my silhouette explorations. So the first exploration was kind of like, this was the very first drawing I did of her character. And let me just read through this. So, keyword app. Let's see. So, a literature professor that I had ended up getting a leg amputated above the knee. It stopped the pain he was feeling, but he was still getting used to the prosthetic. You are walking without feeling your leg, kind of like when you fall asleep on one of your arms and can't feel it when you wake up. That's an interesting thing. I did read a lot about phantom leg pains, but I have not done enough research about that just yet. If you know anything about it, share it with me. I am kind of desperate for information right now. I actually had an OC in the past, long ago, whose leg was amputated and needed to use a prosthetic leg. She definitely differs to what I know now about in real life amputees. So a rewrite is in order. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm in right now. that's there, and that's that feeling is where, since you have to trust something that is there to support you despite not feeling it. That's a yes and a no point. Sometimes they do feel it. It's not that they are not feeling the motion; they still have feeling in their residual limb or stump. Some people don't. They are not paralyzed, which is the difference. Um, so just because the amputation is there doesn't mean that they don't feel it anymore. There's a different set of feelings. I did some research. Apparently, it makes different connections in your brain, and there's a whole different way of getting used to it. In the beginning, there is that feeling of having to trust another object. But prosthetics have come a long way. I've learned about mechanisms in prosthetic legs that help them walk upstairs and go downstairs. There is one in development that wants to have an ankle joint that rolls from side to side so that it's easier on the stump when the prosthetic is going upstairs and downstairs, so that it's not pressing into it, because I'm told that it's difficult to go upstairs sometimes, or most times. I don't know. I'd have to ask again and ask. There we go. Let's correct my English. Today Mona is working on English. Every day Mona is working on English. Mona would like to be done working on English. So yeah. There's also, like I said, the different types of prosthetics. There's prosthetics for wearing high heels. That's a special foot. And probably the thing that's made me the most jealous is I was watching, I believe it was a TED Talk, I'm not sure, and I don't remember her name, so I need to go research it again. But I was really, really jealous when she said that she could adjust her height. I was just like, wait, what? So she can go from like 5'7", my height, cough cough, to 6 foot in a day just by changing her feet. And I was like, wait, what? No, that's not fair. That's like the best of both worlds. Like, what? Wait. And I was so upset. I was really, really jealous at that moment. I was like, no. And then I learned about a model who she has artistic legs. And I was just like, wow. She has like see-through legs that look like octopi. And I was just like, and some of them are gorgeous. And so it really kind of opened my eyes to a whole other culture that we just don't know about. So I gave Parry these sort of plain old legs. These are not her final design legs. But this is the shape I'm thinking I want them to be in. But as I learn more about prosthetic designs and what really goes into making a prosthetic leg for a kickboxer, particularly a double amputee kickboxer, I think I will be better able to design her legs. But I was designing this outfit based on the silhouette. And so first of all, I noticed that I gave her no waist on the silhouette, even though the silhouette looks cool. And so I had to elongate her a bit. And I wanted her to still have those kitty proportions, which is where I did a sort of head. And I included her hair in that head count. Yes, fun, the fashion possibilities. I was just like, no, I'm jealous. You can even change your shoe size. Just think about that. If the shoe doesn't fit, you just buy it and you be like, okay, I'll get a different leg for it. Actually, that would make a great scene in a story. Like, shoe doesn't fit. Just I'll get a new leg. And I'm saying this assuming that the person has a lot of money, because some prosthetics they ain't cheap, but she's a kickboxer, so that ain't cheap in general. So, like I said, this is a temporary design, but I did design her some socks to, like, some stylish socks to match her outfit. I gave her a crop top. I have exercised. This is kind of like a personal preference, and I put a little bit of myself into each character. Crop tops, when you are exercising, are God's gift to the world. All the air comes in, and it cools you down so well. These sort of like clingy outfits, when you start sweating, they are the most uncomfortable thing you have ever met in your life. So I gave her this fishnet merino. That's what we call them in Jamaica, marinas, and they're really popular as streetwear. And so I gave her a fishnet merino and a crop top, and I gave her a ripped skirt. And you can't see it right now, but she's got like tights under there, because if you're throwing your leg up, you need tights. And I still had the spikes in and her little thing here. And I'm thinking about kickboxing, so I gave her like a little medal. And I know I did, where is it? I had a little bit of fun with this particular version, where I was like, I imagined her like fresh off the. Oh yeah, I actually read a comment in a forum where someone said maybe next year, instead of going on vacation, they'll get themselves a nice leg. Yeah, so that's a thing. Like, so it's I mean, you're saying it, but that's an actual thing people do. They get themselves new legs, and they get a collection of legs. Prosthetic disposal, because we tend not to think of people throwing them away, but they do. Sometimes you outgrow prosthetics. You can't wear the same prosthetics your whole life through. You grow. And so there's hair. So I gave her a medal, gave her a merino. My whole thing was ease of movement, keeping cool, and suitable for fighting. So her skirt is sort of ripped, and the idea of this was that people would grab onto the skirt and it would tear, and she probably then got tired of like changing it, so she never really bothered to repair it. But it then turned into something that was very practical, because she can move very easily in it. So I do have a sort of story about the clothes, but then I was still thinking sort of Street Fighter, because I gave her these spikes, and she doesn't yet have her boxing gloves. You can tell from this silhouette, she doesn't yet have those boxing gloves that she has in basically her final design. And I'm gonna turn the words off. Actually, let's turn dialogue off. Turn the words on. Okay, so turn head measurement off. And this is the next iteration of her. And when you're doing concept art, it's always good to have several different iterations of the same pose. It really, and I suggest redrawing them. Photoshop allows us to copy and paste, but if you really want to get a feeling for your character, redrawing them is the best way to kind of like pound the proportion into your head. Because I told you I was having problems with proportions of children, specifically children between the ages of 11, 12, 10 to 12, around that age group. And I might shrink her down to 10 because of what I learned at the Jan meeting. But there's this, like I said, this version of her. And this version was basically what if I flipped the other version inside out. So what if the net shirt was on the outside and the skirt was actually made of netting and there was tights and so on. And first of all, my immediate reaction after computing this design is anyone could take her in a fight. Like, you could trap her in her own skirt. And I think I said this to Fawn recently. A fish could take her if they kind of just like grabbed the skirt and swam upwards. Like, it's perfect balloon. And so, I mean, I added a sweater to it, sort of like workout clothes, and this was like another midriff top. And I was just like, nope. It's just not gonna work. And so I decided to draw her, because in the original pose that I drew her, she's kind of like swayed. But now that I have drawn her in all these different positions, I wanted to see what she looks like now. So I redrew her again using that silhouette as a reference, and knowing now that she is properly a kickboxer. Crop tops are amazing for exercise pack. You don't even know. But yeah, so we have here I drew her again, and this was kind of like wind blowing, getting ready for battle, or in the middle of battle, or in the middle of fighting. And I still hadn't researched much about kickboxing there. So her marina is still here, her shirt cropped up, blowing up that way, and her skirt is blowing up as well. And then you have the rips on her skirt, which are kind of like doing their own business. I gave her these very heavy, metallic looking. This was the first time I drew her prosthetics, really. I mean, I drew this, but this was the first time I really thought about the kind of prosthetics she would have. I actually drew her straps to sort of help to reinforce the prosthetics, because she's a below the knee amputee, and so she still can bend, but I was worried about slipping. I don't know how they do this, and so this was just my little way of saying, okay, they're kind of just like anchored to her hips. That's how we keep them from slipping off. I don't actually know how they do it, but that's what I'm working with. That's what it's doing for now. And I love slouchy socks. And I was watching a video by the YouTube streamer, I think it's Footless Joe or Legless Joe, and she was demonstrating how she put on compression socks. And so I was like, okay, these are her fashionable compression socks that look like little slouchy things, because I love slouchy socks. I'm thinking I might have to change it to make them more fitting, because that's not good for fighting. But this is where I added her boxing gloves, and by this time I kind of decided, yeah, it's going to be this double stripe pattern, sort of like a uniform. I was thinking maybe this is her gym uniform, or her team uniform, because I was like, that might be the logo of her team, which would give that logo some reason to be there apart from for style. Oh yes, but this wouldn't be the first time us females have taken a shoe away from you. I mean, we took high heels. Might as well go for Uggs too. Although I'm not sure why we took high heels, because those things ain't comfy. I love them, but they're not comfy. So I started thinking about sports eyewear. And this is not because Parry is blind. She is not blind. I was thinking about protection in terms of headgear. And she's actually dressed more for MMA than kickboxing. At least not amateur league kickboxing, which is where I'm thinking of putting her in the beginning and then moving her up the. But I was reading even some articles from MMA leagues that have amputee fighters, and there's a kind of legal gray area around this in that many of these organizations don't want to say that you can't, as a amputee, do MMA fighting. But they're worried about legal issues in terms of if you get hurt. Because in professional kickboxing and MMA fighting, kicks to the head are allowed, which becomes then a problem if you are. Because many amputee kickboxers fight on the ground, they tend to bring it down to wrestling matches. I'm not thinking of having her do that because of how I imagine her as a character and as a person, but that bringing it into a wrestling match then becomes more dangerous because your head is in a position to be kicked, which is a very dangerous thing that can happen. And so just like seeing it from both sides and seeing it from all sides is another weird thing. So I gave her goggles, and the idea was to protect her eyes. Here I drew blood splatter on them because I don't know if you guys have ever seen MMA, but they don't pull no punches. It's kind of like rugby, you get together and you donate some blood to the floor or someone's clothes, stuff like that. And so her hair, I had it up here, and she has dreadlocks, really thick dreadlocks. And this right here is kind of what happens to hair. It kind of just sticks off at the back when it's not long enough. And that's her hair. Then I decided, okay, she's a kickboxer. Let's give her some. Let's have her do a kick. How would this look? And this silhouette has grown on me. That's all I have to say to this. This silhouette has grown on me. I didn't like it when I first drew it, but as a high kick silhouette, it's better. Yeah. And her boxing gloves. This is the reference. This is the side kick. I drew a high kick. And her skirt movement is a lot better here. The balance is a lot better here. And I made sure the reference was of an amputee. This is an actual, let me zoom in on it. It's an actual kickboxer. And he is below the knee. So you can see, like, wow. Ain't no lack of strength and power there. Confirm. And I'm just going to tell you this is not my image. I'm using this as a reference. And I have the reference source here. Somewhere in my 25 tabs is the reference source of the photographer. I'm going to have to look that up and put that in the description later. Then I posted this in the Discord group. Fawn and I had a chat. So Fawn was here when at o'clock at night when I was doing this. And Pac came in a little bit later. Can confirm that rugby will leave you full of injuries. I call it blood donation, the sport. Okay, that's what rugby is. Blood donation, the sport. There is no, like, American football has armor, rugby doesn't bother about that. It's just execution style football. That's what I should call it now. Execution style football. Um, and so since this was a more action pose and this was her more finalized design, finalized with like little air quotes, that word is like the bane of existence when you're doing concepts, because nothing is ever the final. I thought this was the final and here I am again redesigning. There's no such thing as a final. This is actually version 12. Final version 12. And so here we are again with her sidekick, and her shirt has a lot more movement here. And when I was uploading these to Discord in another group, I had this and this sort of looks like animation frames, and I kind of want to animate that kick now, like the ha. So that's kind of where we went with these explorations. The skirt movement on this is very haphazard, so it needs a little bit more, but I like the movement of the shirt on this. This was the first time I really had to think of the design of the back of her shirt, which came to me like, oh, right. What is... And so I put the skull pattern on the back of her shirt bigger than usual. I'm thinking of putting her name there because, again, the idea is that this is the symbol of her team now. The team that she is a part of. That I have not worked out who is on this team yet. Still working out this story. I had originally written another script, and then my character said, hoo, you're cute. If you listen to people tell rugby stories, Pac, sometimes they do. They love to share stories of how they got their teeth knocked out, or how they got a certain bruise, or what's the worst thing that happened to them while playing rugby. I think it's kind of like when artists talk about how long they haven't slept, haven't seen sleep in 6 weeks or stuff like that. I think it's that, but for rugby players. So now I put together a sheet of all my silhouette explorations. So with the original silhouette, which is 10, her sort of battleish pose, her high kicks, alternative outfits, which I still have to explore a lot more. Because for a team uniform, it's kind of... Because she still lives with her parents, so it's kind of exposing for a team uniform, like ripped skirt and stuff. But I'm trying to figure out how realistic we gonna make this. And if this is her team uniform, what does she wear when she's not in it? Should probably focus on that. Another way I wanted to explore her, and I think now that I remember that, I'll explore it in this drawing. What does her hair look like when it's down? So this is where I am right now, and let's go back to silhouette explorations. I will take you, and we're going to bring you all the way down to there. Whoops, wrong one, this one. And then I'm gonna lock it and come back up here. So now I want to know what her hair looks like when it's down. What does she look like when she's not wearing that glasses? It's like, dude. You're lucky you didn't knock yourself out. Your chin's like a button, right? That's how you knock people out. Um, guys, y'all are special. I'm sorry. That's all I can say to that. All right, so I suppose for hair, I'm going to explore what her hair looks like down, because that's a whole different silhouette, right? So she's got that big nose. She's got two on this side. And then I've got one back here. So that's that, and it goes all the way up. So she actually has shoulder length hair based on what I drew before, and I'm going to go in with my eraser. Your eraser is also a drawing tool, just in case. It's not only for getting rid of mistakes. The eraser is actually a drawing tool. And so we're here. And I mean, she's kind of got that. So she's got dreadlocks, and that's what they look like. And I don't want to be blocking out her hair. And since this is her slouching pose, I think maybe the goggles aren't on her face. And so that's why that dreadlock can stay here. So I'll put her goggles up here. And I always do her goggles out in white. The reason why I use goggles and not sports glasses is because my thought process is that if she takes a kick or a punch to the face, those bad boys are going to go flying. So she has goggles. Fawn says he has the strongest chin in history. I believe you. I have never broken anything with my chin. Okay, so did your toe heal alright though, Pac? That's another question I should ask. So let's do that, and I'm just gonna black this out. Like I said, I haven't worked out all the dimensions of her facial features yet, and I don't really want to be. This is really still a silhouette study of what kind of character she is. This is not the finalized character design. This is just a study of the shapes that she makes when she's in certain positions, what kind of character she is, and this is really just a quick way to kind of study the character without having to worry about coloring and details and all of that. This is kind of like the bare bones version of her. And so that's it. You can basically sort of imagine what she looks like now. So do that. And I contemplated putting a stripe across there, but I felt it was too unnecessary. And that's kind of where she is. That's the tear in her skirt. And that's her stump. I prefer to call it stump because I think it's a cuter word. That's really the only reason I refer to her in them as stumps. I just think it's a cuter word, which is about. I had the person I was talking to when I said that to them. They were like, I got the weirdest look, like, and I'm kind of tired of getting that look from people. Is it really that weird? All right, and so I mean, I have white in there, but let's just close that up because this is a silhouette. Perspective ain't that important here. So I'm there. Her thing is hair, and her eyebrows should be white. I got the shape of her mouth wrong. I'm working on my expressions, so just see with me. And there's the jewel. And her team logo. Like I said, Atomic Skull. Whoops. That was too thick a line. And then we switch it. Now, the skull in this picture has 2 eyeballs. Note that the one on the back of her shirt has 1. There's a reason for that. But the amount of eyes your skull has well, if you didn't notice before, I don't think it's really affecting you. So let's move it down. And that is, I'm going to create a new layer because I want to put the white underlay there. That's kind of what her hair is looking like right now. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm not really liking that. So I'm just going to merge that down. I'm going to turn this oof. And that's kind of the quick sketch of Harry right now with her hair down. I want to get a definite layout on the shape of her hair when it's out. But her character really is defined by the fact that her hair is up. So, like I said, we're just doing some explorations of her character. Skinny neck, that, and I'm going to do these. I'm gonna actually, maybe not right now because you guys might not want to watch me draw the same pose again, but I am going to redraw this pose again just to explore it and see what this actually is. Here I have her drooling, not really caring. Her goggles are on her head, her hair is out, and I don't know where her boxing gloves are. I'm gonna erase the orchid box thing, and let's see. Let's try this again then. So let's go in. And other things that I want to know about her. So I'm gonna take this. I'm going to do some more silhouettes actually. with the black. So what I do is that, and right now I'm focusing on her hair. So I'm really just gonna draw her head shape. And these are just gonna be quick hair studies of what it's like when it's down. So it comes up into a kind of choppy bun. And so actually let me do this. And we're gonna bring the opacity down. And the whole idea of that is I'm gonna draw in white, so I just wanna be able to see. And let's do that. There we go. So now that I can see these, we can try like a bob. The thing is what each hairstyle is gonna say about her. So a messy bob, is she a messy person in general is what I'm thinking. So I do this. Just care about that silhouette. Let's see what it looks like. And I'm leaving her ear out. Because the whole idea is that she has these ginormous ears that kind of just stick out of everywhere. Okay, and that would be her nose. And I like that so far, so I'm just gonna save myself a whole lot of trouble and do this. Alright, and that's the first hair study. So she's got a messy bob, and I mean, it kind of says that when she's not fighting, she's sort of messy and all over the place, which is kind of what that position implies with sprawled legs and with sprawled legs and trying to just cover that. Yeah, with sprawled legs and drooling, kind of like, okay, she's really, really organized about fighting, but maybe not as organized with other things. That's what that hairstyle kind of says to me, because it's loose, it's very structured, she can't see. It's more like untamed, which perhaps doesn't fit as much as I'd want. But it would make a nice contrast to her character. Another thing, let's see. Let's try another hairstyle. So, drawing her head. Drawing them big ears. Not that big of ears. I'm about to give her some elephant ears. Then we switch. And exploring that silhouette. Maybe if I made her hair more orderly, so It's definitely got volume. So maybe there is a part and her dreadlocks part like so. And I'm doing that. This whole thing I have of covering up her ears and then drawing them back again. Ears go there, ears go there. Okay, so that one looks a little bit more controlled. Still like she's about to making her dreadlocks different lengths, but uniformly. So if the ones at the front are like this, the ones right here are like that, and then the ones at the back are short, we get that. Which I like this a little bit more. I mean, she's still a cylinder-based character, so that's why I'm keeping her dreadlocks to cylinders. Another thing is, this is how I get the order in which I drew things messed up. I just shrink them and move them around. Alright. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, Fawn says, "Welp, I went deaf again. Every time my headphones run out of battery, they tell me that at full volume without warning. Whoever designed those headphones did not really like the customers they were making them for. Tell us when you regain hearing, Fawn. Our prayers are with you." Well, my prayers are with you. I don't know about everybody else's prayers. I pray you get back your hearing. Okay, so that's another type of bob. A more uniform bob, still reminiscent. I'm actually gonna look up dreadlocks now. Now, I know that seems like a strange thing for a Jamaican to be looking up, but let me tell you, let me let you in on a secret, right? We don't all have dreadlocks. Many of us don't know how to take care of them. Cough, cough. Me, don't know at all. Okay, so I see a hairstyle that could probably work. I'm gonna have to turn her head to the side though, because from the front it's not that different. So let's do that, and yeah, so that's her nose right there. And her ear is somewhere over here. And I'm gonna switch that. So this one has the hair kind of going back like that. And then it comes off at the side like this. And then those ears, oh, I should do the white first. And I like this one because it's still got like that cool atmosphere to it. But maybe she has some of her hair actually braided back. And this is something that a lot of Caribbean girls do. They'll braid their hair back. It keeps it out of your face. Because our hair is frankly rather hot. we live in a very hot country and we have thick, heavy hair. So just think about that for a second. Okay, maybe only the top ones really needed that definition. The bottom ones probably don't need that definition. And there's her ear. I got the shape of her nose wrong. There we go. There we go. That right there is a Caribbean nose. We've got some curvy short bridges. I see a lot of very long hair, a lot of crochet dreadlocks. For fun. But yeah, so we're working on that. And I kind of like how she's sort of sleeping in the corner. It makes it look like she's sleeping while I'm working hard on her. I'm working hard on her design, but she's sleeping. And honestly, I'm trying to think of what this would look like if it happened in a fight. So let's draw her goggles. And her goggles go below her ears and over her ears and under and on her ears. Guys, I haven't worn goggles in a while, so when I do, I'm going to look like the bug woman. I'm liking this as well, which means I'm not going too exciting with the shapes. That's bad. Fun, take a... Do they have pills for that? Please take a tetanus shot for that. Please. Okay. And let's see. I've kind of gotten off the topic of getting eyes on your work, so I'm gonna go back to that topic. So I've discussed the one sheet. Didn't really discuss the pitch Bible, but no, that's a lie. I discussed the pitch Bible. I told you about character description, synopsis, episode length, and all of that. Contact info. Oh, another thing that you should probably have is an online portfolio. Now, I have recently run into someone who said to me that they prefer to show their work in person. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I feel that particular approach limits how many people can see your work. Sorry, me thinking and drawing at the same time. Yeah, so I've got no problem with that, but that's severely limiting how many people can see your work, how they can share it. You will never be so good that someone is going to take a picture of your entire portfolio. Ooh, no, I don't like that at all. Yeah, you'll never be so good that someone's going to take a picture of your entire portfolio. So have an online presence. Have a it doesn't have to be Instagram, it doesn't have to be Twitter. Use the one that you are good at using, that you will update frequently, and keep to that one. the idea is that you need a online portfolio to display your work so people know where to find you, um, where they can view your work, and that they can look at your work at your leisure. It also helps to give you a more professional look. So having an online portfolio, even if you don't think your work is good enough yet, or rather, especially if you don't think your work is good enough yet, having an online portfolio will help to get you seriously thinking about what you want on your portfolio. Okay, so I'm actually gonna, whoops, is he rude? Come right here. I'm gonna move that down here because this was sort of like the front view for that one. I want some crazy hairstyles, but I'm not trying to be Yu-Gi-Oh up in here. I'm thinking I'd go more Ed, Ed, and Eddie than Yu-Gi-Oh, or more Pokemon. Nope, 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 lies. Pokemon's right up there with Yu-Gi-Oh. You're still thinking of this very oh, here's another one. What if she had a band? What if the front of her hair were short? I don't think it would be the best solution. I'm done. Guys, there are bananas here, and I'm trying to control myself, but I'm failing. So I'm failing presently. I'm failing in a way that means I am currently about to eat the banana I've been trying not to eat. So won't be talking for a while because I don't want you guys to hear me chew. And we're back. um so I'm having a lag issue that I'm going to try and solve. So give me a second and I will try to decrease the load on my so we're there. Having that lag issue. And let's see. What can I close? Close that. Close MIP. Well, first of all, my bananas are Jamaican and they are not the size of Timbuktu like the ones in the United States. I'm convinced some of those bananas are plantains. I'm not quite sure. So my chat bot flagged that of you putting the table back, and I was trying to figure out why, and I still can't. I've actually tried that before, and you're right. It is dulce de leche and bananas are very yummy. So I'm gonna erase my little guy there, and let's go back to designing hair. So this is, so far this one's my favorite. And I'm actually gonna do a side view of it right now while I'm trying to find another there we go. Another hairstyle to try. Thinking of hairstyles that we give to young children. I don't really don't want her to suffer. And that's actually kind of longer, so I'm gonna do that, have that, move that down. And the reason I did that is I'm just gonna do a rough, yeah, so they're about the same height, enough that this silhouette is actually accurate and I'm not just drawing foolishness. So this is it from the, and I'm gonna actually do this so I can see. This is it from the left side. And I'm doing that. Okay. And so we've got her there. And perhaps I should do one from here because I haven't selected another one yet. Yeah, I don't know what it's flagging about that particular emoji. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would have to ask YouTube what about that causes. I honestly don't know. It keeps flagging it, but I mean we're here, and ooh, that's a fun one to try. So what if your dreadlocks would kind of have to be doing this on their own, not in any. If I did that and I did, yeah, what if one of them came over like so? And then another one came over and out like that. And I actually think I'm going to change the shape of this one. Like that. And make it like 2. And so this is kind of what that's in. Online portfolios. So places where you can have online portfolios that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg. Behance. If you're a graphics designer, Behance is kind of where you want to be. And I know that's graphics designers. I've seen Behance and Instagram. I've also seen a lot of them on Twitter. But Behance and Instagram are basically a good collection of ways to present your work in various ways. Instagram is kind of like a one square, though. Behance is really made for presenting your videos and thought process and all of that, and it allows you to organize stuff into projects that people can view. It's also free. There's a lot of people in the industry who are on Behance, and so that's a good place. If you're not prepared to set up your own personal website, Behance is probably the place to be. I do, however, suggest buying your own domain. And the reason for this is quite simple. It makes you look more professional and it's cheap. That's really it. It makes you look more professional and it's cheap. Let's see. If you are game artists, places like ArtStation, I'm going to say DeviantArt, and I know a lot of people are going to look at me weird, but there are actually a lot of working professional artists on DeviantArt. A good amount of the featured artists and professional artists, you need to, in this case, just remember that it wasn't always 12-year-olds drawing My Little Pony. But I would suggest, honestly, Behance, make yourself a demo reel. Show off what your skills are. A demo reel, I'm actually currently working on my demo reel for this year because a lot of my work has changed. I no longer, I think I'm at a better level for what it is that I am looking to do as an artist. And give me a second if I can just get this brush. There we go. And so it's kind of like creating a image for yourself. Like, you are a professional, you should be marketing yourself as a professional, and having this makes it easier for you to present yourself and market yourself at network marketing events, events like MIPCOM and MIPJr, even just when you're meeting up with other artists, having business cards, having contact information that you can give out. Hey, this is how you reach me. Hand over your business card. Hand over your one sheet. This is what I do. So on and so forth. And it's just to help you along on that way. Also, don't be afraid to approach people. I am a character. I'm a whole personality. I'm aware of this. I'm not going to tell anybody to act like I do in public. I am a little bit crazy. And I'm aware of this. I usually lead with this. I tell people I'm a little bit strange just so that it doesn't take them off guard. I am probably the most effervescent introvert you will ever meet. And I am an introvert because I would very much rather spend time at home and do all these wonderful things than go outside and go talk to people. I just decided that if I'm going to go talk to people, then I'll make it worth their while. So now I'm going to do a very boring hairstyle. This is bangs. And the reason I'm drawing this is so that I can work out what this shape actually is. Because now I'm going to redraw it with dreadlocks. And so that's that. That's that. Our hair is going to come out there. Doesn't need to go much further than that. And there we go. So that's another scenario. If she had bangs. Oh, I know what these have been missing. Her one ear. How dare I forget her ear? She's got ears to spare. Like, come down. Alright. My personality changes. Nice to meet you, a little bit strange. It's nice to meet you too, Pac. I also answer to that weird silence that you share with a friend when your other friend does something strange. But that's a longer name, so you don't lead with that. People get scared of long names. Okay, so let's see what else. So online portfolio, business cards, brand yourself. I really do mean brand yourself. There's like no other way to put that. Brand yourself. Figure out what you are about. You can change what you are about, but what you're about right now, you should probably know. If you don't know what you want, ain't nobody else going to know. And more importantly, nobody else is interested in figuring it out for you. So you better go do that work yourself instead of waiting for another person to sort of figure it out for you. And if you're really only on like whatever comes or whatever is going your way, then you're going to find yourself overwhelmed because many people in networking events are very specific about what they're looking for. And so if you can't really say, hey, this is what I want, then you're going to waste a lot of people's time. A lot of people are going to waste your time. And it was kind of ironic because they brought this up at the Jan meeting yesterday about being very specific about what you want. And I was just thinking, wow, I'm so happy they brought that up because I'm sure a lot of people don't realize just how important that is. And that's not to say it's easy to figure out what you want. It's hard. It's probably the hardest part of it's probably the hardest part of doing art is really figuring out what you are about as an artist. And I say that because many artists spend a lot of time searching for their own style, which is really a visual representation of what you are as an artist. So kind of asking you to have the written down version of that is sort of, I guess, mean. It's sort of mean, but yeah, you need a written down version of that. Also, if you want to do something, do it. Again, do it and stop sort of waiting in terms of have your thing fully fleshed out, have like the concepts, have everything. And then it's only a matter of time of going to these events. Like I said, MIP COM, MIPJr are two I've learned about recently. But I also learned that my country has an investor forum. Maybe go look into an investor forum. Um, if you are not, and this was another point that was brought up at the meeting yesterday. If you're not comfortable doing these things, find someone else to do it for you. Honestly, it has to be done. Um, if you're still trying to get a job, then that still has to be done. You still have to get the resumes. You still have to get the work out there, and like knowing what to do, knowing what to get that attention. Another thing is be 100% honest about where you are. You don't have to talk yourself down. That's not what I'm telling anyone to do. But if you talk yourself up and you can't deliver, you're in a worse position than, yeah, you're in a much worse position than you even know because, okay, where do I want to put you? There's no space on this silhouette sheet at all for you. Okay, let's start a new silhouette sheet. Let's just put you. Since I'm starting a brand new silhouette sheet, let's go here. There we go. And I'm going to put Sil 10 Exploration Sheet 2, which means I should probably put 1 on this one. And I'm going to bring that down there, turn you off, turn you back on. Hair silhouettes. There we go. So that's kind of like the other thing. All this moving around is gonna wake her up. Nah, she's sleeping like the dead fawn. She ain't waking up ever. Look at that. Dead to the world. I'm jealous. I'm looking at that kind of sleep now. Okay, so we've got her hair, and I'm gonna redraw this pose with one of these hair profiles. But for right now, we're just working on this hair silhouette of what it looks like when when her hair is let down. I was thinking probably I need to make a design of her not in this uniform. And guys, I'm not looking forward to all of these silhouette explorations. I'm really not. That's why you see me turning stuff on. I was about to take the easy way out, and then I had a stern talk with myself internally. Yeah. So other things. Anisi Film Festival is coming up. That's another great place to pitch performances. I said pitch performances. Wow, where did my head go just there? To pitch animation, to submit an animated short, to try and get some more eyes on your work. Film festivals are a great place. If you're trying to sell your work as a freelancer, maybe the things you need to start looking at is whether or not you're looking for awards, if you're looking for just getting your work to be seen, and who your audience is. So one thing I learned yesterday about why our animation industry is marketing to an international audience is we're too small to really be making money from animation, which, and it seems like, what do you mean you're too small? You're a whole country. You need a population of millions of people watching your animation in order to really make, sorry, not millions, like, you need billions of people, I'm guessing. And so to really be making money, because you're essentially fighting for the attention of somebody. And so going on websites like animationfestivals.com, going on submission websites will help you to figure out and then really pare down which festivals you think you are ready for right now. For example, if you have a lot of money to spend, then you're looking at some festivals that, have entrance fees. But if you don't, like, if you're just starting out, if you're a student and you don't have that money to spend, then maybe you're looking at free festivals. Also look at festivals in your area. Sometimes as I know, maybe her hair doesn't actually fall. Maybe all that happens is, I told you our hair defies gravity, right? Maybe all that happens is that it kind of just does this. And I'm going to have to redraw this hair again. So here I am talking about how our hair defies gravity, and I'm not even putting it in the design. This is a pretty good indication of what our hair does. Just like stays there. Kind of has to be hog-tied later. And I got her face silhouette wrong, so doing that. Guys, there's a fly in here, and I'm about to hit it with a whole rolled up newspaper. Just so that I can get some peace of mind from the buzzing noise. And that's also an option and a more interesting silhouette than it's ready for. How does that look from the front? I am here to tell you that if it's our hair, it can defy gravity all day if it feels like it. Especially if it's humid. That bad boy can go floof. Right, so how does this look from the front? This, like, whoops. It's looking something more like that. maybe you have one or two that behave themselves and stay down. Um, so based on what I just drew, that does that. She looks like she has a mohawk from the side, but it's actually more like like that. So I curved it the wrong way. This one is very sweet, and I'm leaning towards it because it's a contrast with her how she looks in the uniform, which is very lethal, sort of nerdy. But I like this one because it's sort of like a lion's mane, which preserves like that sort of fierceness she has. And I'm drawing her goggles in. And with this much hair, her poor goggles are suffering. This is actually my favorite version so far. This gravity-defying sort of hair. Maybe I am trying to go Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe that's where we're going with this. Just drop you on top of there for right now. Or no. Yep, let's grab you too. Put you up there. Have you tried giving your hair glasses so that it can look better? Reminds me of a tangerine. Maybe. Not quite sure how, but maybe. Hey, Moons. Hey. Okay. And so, the other things to drop, investor forums. Little things that you will need for these things. So investor forums is kind of like, I can't really describe this because I've never been to one, so I don't want to say something and that's not how it goes. But my understanding is that it's a little bit like Shark Tank. Like, that's the description I heard in response to what they were. It's kind of like you give your elevator pitch and you're trying to get people to say, hey, that sounds like a great idea, let me give you money to do it. And then they get a cut because they invested. That's kind of how business works. At least I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. My aim is to find out. My aim is to 110% find out. So I'm told it's a problem when you actually get eyes on your work because now you have to deliver. My thing is, hey, I want that problem. That's a first world problem I want. Um, so I'm actually gonna do more gravity defying hairstyles. So let's try there. And let's do that. So I'm gonna actually part it like so. Like a half up. Whoops. Let's go back one more time. Okay, maybe take that down just a bit. I'm basically looking for hairstyles that would create her bun if you kind of just grab them and hog tie them. So that's where we're at right now. I don't really like what I'm not liking about this hairstyle isn't the design, it's the curves. They're not smooth. So yeah, so I like it a lot better now that I've smoothed out the curves and kind of added some energy to the hair. Okay, so that's that right now. So this hair has a lot more energy. And that's it's kind of just up there, suspended into the ether and the atmosphere. But I think another thing, and this is kind of for people who are fresh out of school, and it's something that I myself have kind of been struggling with, is stop viewing yourself as a student. Pack is just my chatbot is flagging Pack today. Yeah. I like this one. This is like boing. Because that makes so much sense, right? This is boing. That makes sense. This is boing. That's the kind of hairstyle this is. Very. I'm really liking this one. So if you can't figure out how I lose track of which ones I draw, it's because of this. See, you're seeing it in motion. I did that. No, I did that one first. And then that one, and then that one, and that one. And yeah, see, it's kind of like that a really fun game of what came first. And so, I mean, this is all going to be added to her silhouette. So if I do that, and let's say I take that, I just add that to the silhouette, and it's a more dynamic shape on top of another dynamic shape. I am more articulate like that on a good day. I promise you, I know how to use big words. I promise. I 100% promise you, I can use big words. Just not at this moment. Okay, let's see. I like that. Woo! And I did it again. Yeah, I like the movement in this one. I really do like the movement in this one. I'm gonna add her goggles. And okay, so let me tell you what I'm thinking. I don't know if you guys can pick up on hesitation. I'm not sure what conveys through movement on the screen. But as I put her goggles on, I keep thinking these goggles make her look a little bit more studious than I intended. But I don't want to make this hyper perfect, ultra cool kid because, guys, frankly, none of us was that cool when we were younger. You could have been a celebrity when you were younger. You were still trying to figure life out. We weren't that coherent when we were younger. And so I'm not trying to make a perfect character. So now I'm thinking about what her flaw is. Like, if I give her this, like, do I go with a contrast to her regular self? Because that could make for an interesting visual cue. Like, let me grab this. To make for an interesting visual cue that the regular her is so here, and then the other her is like, sweet, probably a little bit more messy. This one is, or maybe I could add that to her fighting character, but then this kind of hair can be grabbed, which is the whole reason why I gave her that updo. And this is supposed to be an exploration of what her hair looks like, let out of that. So it's just like, this is holding a whole lot of volume if you couldn't. That's kind of how our hair is. Like, we'll style it down in plaits and stuff, and then you take it out, and there's Mount Everest hiding in the braids. Regular things. Conservation of mass. Science and all of that. So now I'm thinking, I'm thinking of my script and where these characters fit in and what they're going to do. And I mean, this is only one character. This is a design process for the main character. And the secondary main character, whose name I've had forever, is Enya. Actually, come to think of it, maybe this hairstyle would suit Enya instead of Parry. Because Parry is supposedly the softer, quicker of the two. And I forgot about that. I should flip back to Parry's traits. So give me a second. Okay. And so Parry is quicker and more agile. And she does a lot of more. She does more. And there went my ability to speak. The contrast is that Parry is a speed fighter, whereas Enya would be a heavy hitter. If we're gonna go video game terms, like, Enya has more strength and power in her being than Parry would. And these two characters would contrast each other. I'm not sure yet if they are on the same team, if they're on opposing teams. I think putting them on the same team could be a very interesting dynamic, because working with someone who is different from you is something we can all relate to, even if the story is in a Jamaican context. It is very, very hard to sort of work with someone who is intrinsically different than you in so many ways. Okay. So I've added some like whoosh to that. And I said whoosh because I literally went like that. That's literally all it went. Words have shapes for me, guys. Just whooshies. Pretend you didn't see that S. Whoosh. So words have shapes, and whoosh is in the shape of a curve, specifically to the left. That is a zip. That's the shape of the zip for me, just in case y'all didn't know. Um, so I'm liking this one more because it shows the hair whirl. This one as well, because it has a definite personality trait. It's very fluffy. This one is, like I said, very modern, a little bit more aggressive. It's got a lot of good energy in the back, and I'm kind of thinking when she gets angry, maybe I could do like a porcupine thing with it, where it kind of goes, oh, right, dreadlocks, where it kind of goes like that at the back, and she could be like a whole porcupine, one whole porcupine, as opposed to half a porcupine. Um, So I am actually thinking of what they would look like if I moved them. I think this one would be great for sarcasm, a hairstyle like this. If you were doing sarcasm, because sarcasm has a lot of tilted heads, dead stares, and it's very subtle movements. And so having hair that moves in contrast to that subtle movement that accompanies sarcasm is a really nice visual contrast. So I think it would be nice to look at. But I'm not sure where Parry falls in the story. So I know I'm going through all of this, but as soon as I get that story kind of like tied down, I am going to have to go through this whole process again, because then I'm going to match her up with that story. So my design process is kind of like a cycle. So let's go. So it's more like you get story, because I have a sort of story, and then you do design, and then you sort of like revise. I know how to spell, I just didn't. Then you're gonna revise, because I know how to spell. And then you revise story, and then as you change the story, you revise. Oh, I know what I'm supposed to be drawing. There is more to this process, but we go here. So it's story, design, design, story. And this big block of text right here is called revise. Yeah, so these two arrows, these pretty arrows right here. And I go through this, and then eventually I slap myself and I say, no, stop. And whatever I have when I say no, stop, stays, because you can't keep going in that cycle forever. And once that stays, you do one final, once you kind of just go, you know what, that's it, then you kind of tie down the other one. So if I tie down Parry's design, the story has to fit that character. If the story doesn't fit that character, then it's not that character's story. I'm in the wrong place. I need to rewrite it. So another thing is stop yourself. Whew. Okay. Getting eyes on your work. Talk to people 101. That's literally the name of that class. Go talk to people. Online, in person. Um, Honestly, just go talk to someone. No one is going to ever see your work if you don't show them or tell them about your work. Your biggest advertiser is yourself. And so go places, like kick that door open. I'm going to draw a little comic. There we go. So kick that door open. Leave your bed back there, doorknob. Take yourself a walking down the street with a sketchbook. Yeah, so take yourself a walking down the street with a sketchbook. Go to a event. So we're gonna go events. Yeah. And this can be Comic-Con stuff where they have portfolio reviews. Search for organizations that are in your field. So for my field, out here in Jamaica, JAN is really the organization that's the most connected. The international organization is SIGGRAPH. So go to events and it's like peopling up the place, you know. And they have fancy dresses and fancy pants, you know. And you've got loud people and you've got quiet people. And so you go here and I'm gonna take you, you're gonna go here and you're gonna be like yak 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 to one person. And let's say that person is not interested. So you go to another person and you just yak 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 again. And you kind of keep doing this. That's kind of it. You keep doing this. Go talk to people. Go make friends. Everybody likes to work with their friends. They like to work with people they like. So that's my short stickman comic on. So you can really judge a person by how fancy their pants are. Yes, you can. Tells you a lot about people. And when you're at the event, if someone says, hey, I do the exact same thing that you do, and A and B, let's say I do the exact same thing that you do, and you go, oh my goodness, this person is so much better than me. Ding. And it's like, and they have, so you have a sketchbook, but they have like the Holy Grail or the Holy Scripture of sketchbooks. What you do is you go, hello, friend. That's what you do. Many people go, wow, that's cool. Let me take myself over here. And they leave and they're kind of depressed and cry with their one sketchbook. No, you say, hello, friend. Give me all your information. That's what you do. You go, hello, friend, and the octopus arms come with it. You must octopus wrap your new friend up, just like that. Octopus wrap them, and you get all their information. You get all their portfolio, and you make friends with the artist who is better than you. Cough, cough. And you say, friend, and you make friend, and you talk to friend and you get better with friend. And now there's two of you. Octopus. If you're a Slenderman, this is easier to do than if you're a regular human. But if you're a regular human, hugs suffice. So you go friend. And now you're friends. Friend. That's how that works, friend. In your sparkly I-beam of friendship. This is how I make friends. I'm not sure this method works for. I know some people talk, not talking business. Yeah, it works. Yeah, you see, Pac has the right idea. Absorb them via osmosis and diffusion. Osmosis requires water, and I suppose that's what coffee dates are for, coffee lunch. That's osmosis, right? There is a liquid present there, and so you absorb them. That's how that works. And the thing is, you have now made a friend, and you talk to your friend, and you work with your friend, and you get better with your friend, and eventually you keep absorbing these friends. And I'm telling you, this is how it's been working for me. And the idea is that you get a bunch of these friends, right? And you love your friends. So, hold on. So, you're slowly turning into Slenderman at this point. But that's beside the point. So you're slowly turning into Slenderman. That's besides the point. But you have all these friends. All your friends know you. They know your work ethic. They know what you're doing. They know what your projects are for. Pac says you gotta lick them. I've never done that before. I think I'd be sued. But you have all these friends, and your friends know your work ethic. You know your friends' work ethic. And eventually, this is your network. And you have to start somewhere. This is you. This is you, and these are all your friends. And there are all sorts of friends, but this is now your network, and you talk to each other and understand that you are now a cog in the network. You might be the most mutated cog, but you are now the cog in the network. And as you're doing all of that, ask your friends about what's going on in their industries. You might be a illustrator. They might be an animator, they might be a music designer, they might be a 3D modeler, they might be there's a lot of careers in the animation industry. And so you just keep asking, find out what they're doing. Your friend might know of a job, they might know of a project coming up. They might know of places where you can meet other people in your industry, so places where you can network. And that's what you do. And if you're like, oh, I don't know any friends in my industry, you do. I'm sorry. You do. And this is you. I'm always drawing you as a little black stickman, so you can always identify yourself in the crowd. This is you. And you do know people in your industry. If you don't get where I'm going with this yet, my drawing skills have fallen. Ta-da! This is your class. They are your friends, even if they don't know it yet. I told you. You got to Slenderman your friends. I think my drawing of a network is way more interesting than the usual drawing of a network. The usual drawing of a network doesn't really tell you what the tentacles are for. But you see, now you know. So this is your network. And these are your classmates. One of you, and I mean one of you, got a job. You don't have to ask them if there's any jobs at their workplace. Ask them if there are any projects going up, any events. You can ask them if there are any jobs at their workplace. Don't put your friend in a position that might get them to lose their job. But also don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can tell you is no. And if they tell you no, well, guess what? You were in the same position before. Take the no. It won't always be no, maybe later. And go do something else. But while you're doing all of this, keep working. Yeah. So while you're Slendermaning all of your friends and you're doing all of this, you should be drowning yourself in paperwork. And the kind of paperwork I'm talking about is, hold on. Guys, I think I'd be really good at Pictionary. The kind of paperwork I'm talking about is art. So a little sea of papers with your artwork on them. And I told you you were an octopus, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there you are. You. So you should be working, keeping your yes. You see, Pack's keeping track of all the steps. First, you Slenderman your friends. Second, you absorb them via osmosis. Third, you stew in the ocean of work that you are creating because you're still working during all of this. So there's this thing that if a job tells you no and you really want to get back there, you will really want to get into that place. Wait 6 months and apply with a brand new portfolio. Let them know that you are here for them and you are ready to work. If you're trying to start your own business, you should be researching bids, where to do your work. Spec work is a whole nother thing that I need to get into because that's a sensitive topic. Yeah, so there you are. And so you are now, basically that's it. You kind of just repeat that process and you keep working. If you're trying to get money to make an animated short, make the short. Make the short. Make a pilot. Make a teaser. Make all of that. because the idea is that the more complete it is, the easier it is for you to get this idea into someone else's head, the easier it is for you to sell it. But if you've only got like a character on a piece of paper and we need to do this properly. So if you've only got a character on a piece of paper, so you gotta make sure it's white paper, and you've got your character, and he's got some obscure name, and it's just you with your character on a piece of paper going, yeah, here are your Slenderman tentacles. Yeah, so if it's only you on a piece of paper and your character on a piece of paper going, oh, this is my cool idea, then you've really got nothing. You haven't got a story. You don't have the time it's going to take to make. You don't have the budget, which are things that people need to know because you have to pay people. Like, you're worried about getting paid. People are worried about getting paid too. People need to know how much time it's going to take. How long? How is it marketable? People like merchandise a lot right now. Totoro, my neighbor Totoro is five. I know his legs aren't this long, but I'm not really caring right now. So my neighbor Totoro is amazing when it comes to merchandise. I have rags, like washcloths, that have my neighbor Totoro stuff on them. And that's about as my purse has calcifer on it, and my jump drive lanyard is calcifer as well. And the sticker on my laptop is calcifer. So that should kind of tell you, like, is it marketable and stuff like that. You need all of this for your work because other people need to see the value in it. It's not enough for just you to see the value in your work. You need to become a pro at getting other people to see the value. So in addition to, oh, wait, there we go. There we go. So in addition to being a octopus that you're gonna Slenderman your little self out there, and I'm gonna obscure some tentacles for now, guys. Pretend that this octopus has 8 tentacles, just so that we can speed up this process. So in addition to this, you also need to sort of create, what you're doing is creating a signal to other people that this idea is marketable, so that other little Slenderman octopi out there will receive your signal and go, oh, this lines up with what I want to do. Let me support it. And examples of other major Slenderman octopi out there are Disney, Netflix, Nickelodeon, Bento Box, Autodesk, Adobe, clothing lines, so on and so forth. And these are all, when you think of them, they are giant octopi. So if this is you and you are a new little Slenderman octopus, this Slenderman octopus Actually, no. If I'm gonna say Disney, you need to be smaller. I'm sorry, guys. Let's be honest here. If this dot is you starting out as a Slenderman octopus, this Slenderman octopus that sends out signals to other big Slenderman octopus. So let's call that one bento box. Let's call this one Ghibli. And there's a bunch of you guys out there, and your goal as an artist is to be the best little octopus you can be and extend your tentacles all the way. You're kind of trying to be a little parasite, guys. But a parasite that gives stuff back. Sorry, maybe that's not the best analogy to use, but you're trying to be a spider. There we go. There's an example of a creature that gives stuff back to us. They take mosquitoes and bite us occasionally, and in exchange, we don't have to live with flies, mosquitoes, beetles, bugs, or other flying insects. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's really the process. The biggest obstacle to this process is, and I'm not dealing with the inside obstacles, because inside obstacles like laziness. Oh God. Yeah, so inside obstacles like laziness, you know, pride, are kind of a whole different set of things. But the biggest I'm gonna call it exterior obstacle I can think of is lack of information. This is your biggest obstacle when starting out. You don't know how the industry works. You don't know anybody in the industry. You don't have any connections. Basically, nobody knows about you. Nobody knows you. And you don't know nobody. And that's basically what you're trying to fix. It's easier for you to get jobs the more people know you. For example, if Hayao Miyazaki walked up to Disney and said, "Hey, I need a job," I don't think they'd be trying to tell him no. I mean, he wouldn't, but I'm just saying. If you have traction, people will follow. So, how do I put this? If you see your favorite artist or your favorite creator coming up with new content, for example, Musashi Kishimoto made Boruto. And I'm not the biggest fan of Boruto, but there are many people who still watch Boruto because they loved Naruto and they're fans of Kishimoto. I watch a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. I even watched Studio Panak's Mary and the Witch's Flower because the founder of that studio worked under Hayao Miyazaki. And so who you know affects your reputation, and that's what you're trying to build up in the industry. And you kind of have to take it slow in the beginning, but great work. And I feel like one of my teachers now. Great work. More importantly, great personality. And I'm putting two in this point: great personality and great work ethic will make people want to work with you. You need both of these. If you're kind of like, oh, I have great work, but you're kind of like a drag to work with, and people always have to be on your case to get that great work done, then you're kind of a liability to wherever you're working, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for somebody else. Yeah. So, when? All right. So there's another thing that I haven't covered, which is social media. And this is kind of like a double-edged sword. And how do I put this? Social media is a great way to say, hey, this stuff, you can make your stuff popular here. So it's a double-edged sword. But you're fighting a lot of stuff to making yourself popular. And another thing I've realized on social media is that it works in tandem. It works with real world events. So a lot of popular, I don't want to call them influencers because many of them aren't influencers. For example, Pascal Campion, who is a prolific artist, is not a social media influencer. He doesn't advertise other companies except maybe his own artwork, which is basically him working for himself. But Pascal Campion, Piccolo, is it Piccolo or Piccolo? Hold on. Yes, it is Piccolo. Gabriel Piccolo, that's his actual name. He had it before Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, so Gabriel Piccolo is a comic artist, and he works with, I think it's Marvel? No, DC Comics. Maybe he works with both. Let's see. I will be able to tell you in 1 second who he works with. DC. He works with DC Comics. Yes, I was right the second time. He works with DC Comics. So, Piccolo, Campion, Bradley, that's Noah Bradley. All these artists have built up their reputations for good work and innovation. And a part of that is social media. Noah Bradley is quite famous as the artist who said that basically you don't need to go to art school. He's one of the artists who's very, he shares that viewpoint a lot. He did go to art school, and he regretted it immensely. So that should tell you, at least that's what I'm assuming happened. But that should tell you where we're kind of going with that. Then there is Campion, who his claim to fame is daily sketches, and his daily sketches are mostly about his family and life. He does a lot of paintings, and he does a lot of inspirational sketches, and that's all over his Instagram. Noah Bradley is famous for art camp as well, and Piccolo makes a lot of, right now he's making a lot of Teen Titans spin-off comics. most recently, I believe he made a comic about Beast Boy, and the previous one was Raven. And so basically, these are artists who they keep working on projects, and then they try to sell these projects. They're not waiting for, and I think they're not waiting for like somebody else to give them permission to make the work that they're making. They're essentially being the artist first and then finding the person who's looking for what they're offering, or finding the person who likes what they're offering and wants to help them, which is kind of how life works. That's probably the part of school that is the same as when you leave, is that, yeah, people will still help people do what they like. They're not looking for, yeah, they're not looking for, you know, words. No, you don't know. Sorry. Yeah. They're not really looking for just to help someone to make money. They're looking for a way to make things that they like. Everybody wants to work with people that they like. Everyone wants to be making something that they like and something that they think means something, something that will be profitable. And you're kind of trying to, that's the mold that you're trying to fit in. It's not, oh, you need this specific style, or oh, you need this specific thing. It's more of, you need to find the group of people who match what you are about. And in order to do that, you need to know what you are about. There we go. See, actual words came out of my mouth. I'm so proud of myself. All right, back to hair silhouettes. So, I mean, that was that rant. And so so after I've done that, I've discovered that I like hair with a lot of motion, and so I'm going to do more gestural hair with bolder shapes. I'm not quite, oh, now I know what happened. The flow went down to 30 somehow. See, now that's much smoother. So if this came out in a fight, and it would be, so this is another bob shape that's very energetic. And I'm liking it. So I've kind of sort of assumed that she has a bob of some sort because of how her hair is pinned up. But now I'm thinking about how I actually put that, how you actually put pins in your hair, or you put up a bun. Whoops. And I'm thinking maybe I should do like a half and half style, in the sense of, oh, I should, there we go. So what I mean by a half and half style is I have because maybe her scrunchie doesn't completely come out and she's just maybe the hair is falling out of the scrunchie and it creates something like that, which is a loose, half up, half down sort of hair. And now she sort of looks like a mushroom. And so I'm gonna go in at the back, and she still has that in her hair. It kind of just came out like whoosh. Alright, so that's the thing. Okay, so we've got 4, 10, 12. Yeah, we basically got 12 concept sketches so far. If I'm going to be honest, the winners so far in terms of concepts that I like for her hair down are this one. And somehow I've managed to work the flow of the brush down to 10 again, but I'll figure that out. That one, this one. And I did not catch the fly. That was so disappointing. Disappointed again. I am liking this kind of crazy one. And I like this and this. And those are my top 5. So this is my number 1. I'm not really liking the half up down style. I like the more organized ones, kind of a little bit crazy, which kind of makes this one the outlier in the selections. And so now the next thing to do is to draw my concept character with this hairstyle and to see if it works. So and it's going to change her silhouette quite a bit. I mean, I'm experimenting with her hair because I don't want to just go with the very first thing I drew. It's going to change her silhouette, but we'll see how that works. And with that said, it is now 10 o'clock my time, so I'm thinking I'm about an hour over my actual stream time. And I'm going to tell you guys goodbye because I'm trying to get my sleep schedule back on track. I'm definitely feeling the symptoms of insomnia the last few days. I've been having some trouble getting to sleep, so yeah. But this is where I'm at so far, letting you guys in on this concepting process as to what goes on in my brain. What I learned yesterday at the Jamaica Animation Nation Networks meeting about how to connect in the industry and how to get your work out there. And basically, that's it. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for staying with me, and thank you for all your support. And feel free to find me on Instagram. The link to the Discord is in the description, so I'm going to do that again. And I'm hoping next week I should have this character far enough along the design process that I'll be able to do some pencil, quote unquote pencil tests with her. So please join the Discord, like, subscribe, share. Yay. And I'm going to leave you all now. And yeah, that's me. So, oh, okay. All right, so in the Discord chat, Fun has placed the emoji light keyboard that allows him to use emojis, and you can check that out there. I'm not quite sure what's going on in the Discord chat. I see tables being flipped, I see tables being put back. Pac says his last two brain cells are Robin's. So thanks, Pac. I'll see you guys in the Discord, and throughout the week I'm usually in the Discord. Instagram is kind of bone dry right now. That's because I'm working on the concept stuff. I took a break from Inktober. But I got way further this year than I did last year, so I'm proud of myself on that front. Good night. Or good morning, because I know some of you are on the other side of the world. Thanks for the support, guys.